I've seen huge amount of people I can't stop being amazed. Huge amount of people how they were 3 years ago, and those that study Kabbalah. People change so drastically, and not that they become like more often what frightens is when a person gets detached from this world, but here a person begins to understand somehow. He begins to look at the world broader, meaning he doesn't push it away. No, maybe in the beginning, but then he begins to understand the interrelations, and it's like in fact, the world is also part of lab, so it's not that you're simply chopped it off and done. No, why? We're not distancing from this world. In contrary, we're going to the world. We come closer to it. That's the paradox. We want to rise upward, and we get closer to the bottom, to the one standing beneath us, to simple people. We're not going somewhere, we're not flying away nowhere to some kind of secluded tabernacle or something. Nothing like that. In country. Yeah, come on, go on. I wanted to say that we acquire patience, but on one hand, patience regarding the friends that they undergo certain experience, but sometimes we don't have patience for some silly things, like someone begins to tell you about aliens, and you think to yourself, I just don't want to hear about these things. And he goes, can you imagine a few friends from the past are sitting and have conversation about it, come up with facts they've learned somewhere, and you understand that on one hand, but how can you react to it? You can't offend people because that's their understanding, and there is no scrutiny can be done here either. Well, to that I look simple. I'm not interested in that. That's it. I have no interest in when it is proven absolutely, meaning put right in front of me and prove it, then we'll talk. And until then, and there we also have ancient Egyptians, aliens come and go, and the ones flying around us, and what's not. Internet is filled with that kind of stuff. People love to talk about those things. It infatuates them. It brightens their lives. You tell about things they need to go for somewhere, reveal, and here there are things exist around us, and if I make my eyes like this or a little bit rather like that, then I might see them. I might all of a sudden discover them. And what the bleep, I had one of them. As a matter of fact, a religious man, pastor, very kind and nice person. And one time he was an advisor in Vatican, and he began to show us what seems to him that there are some kind of bubbles flying around us. You can check it out in our archive. We recorded it all. It's simply something on the film, and to him it seems like they're flying around us, that these are some creatures, wise creatures, and they're like soap bubbles. What can you do? Nothing, so... But it was as if he showed you the facts, which proves it. Yes, to him those are facts, but to the rest, he simply smiled kindly, and that was it. There are people that infatuated by that very much. They simply sink into it. They live by it. It brightens their lives. As a matter of fact, it's a religious person, pastor, Vatican's advisor. In addition to that, he is a physicist. He is a physicist professionally. He is a professor. He worked as one. By then, he was retired already. Now, I don't know. It's been 6-7 years since then, since we've met. So, what can I tell you? Simply, there are people like that. I've met similar people in Russia, many PhDs and everything, and they also fall into it, come up with things and whatever you want. And if it's a theory of some sort, it's even worse, like a theory of strings, anything you want. And of course, the aliens here right next to us, of course. And Bigfoot. It can't get worse than that. People need all that, and the mass media supports it. They need to sell something, right? They need to entertain them somehow. But if these stage drops are removed and all of that garbage is revealed, what's left there? What's left in human's life? If overall we remove everything we run after throughout our lives, when we're given false goals, and then you will have to clean up the world. Clean it up. And only leave inanimate, animal, vegetative, and human parts of the nature. Give the human normal conditions for living, so he can support his life in his body, and the rest to be directed toward connection between people, so that inside of that connection, he would begin to sense the upper world, the true nature, true force. And he would enter the field where he would sense the higher world and would lose the sense of the lower ladles, inanimate, animal, vegetative. This world, this space would disappear for him because it only resides in our mind, the mind that hasn't matured yet. He would rise to the level of forces, the only thing that exists, and not what is being only drawn like on writing surface. Here is the wall that exists, here is the table that exists, and so on. He will reveal that all of that doesn't exist because it doesn't exist on the level of forces. These are all configurations of those forces relative to my animal organs of perception. And when I rise to the level of a different organs of perception, all of that doesn't exist there. It all disappears. Therefore, the word olam, the world, derives from the word elam, disappearing, or neilam. So, in general, that's what we need. Only concentrate on that. And why do we need to waste our time on this level, while we've reached the point where we can rise to the next level? There is nothing worse than this world. Why to be left here? And if you stay over time, you need to develop and ascending, then you begin to experience terrible things. The fetus becomes long overdue. It's like a child that stays inside of a womb over the due time. You see, it's very dangerous for us. Now we are going to be pressured by such forces to push us out, to give birth to us to the next level. That just hold on, we must cooperate ourselves.